Good evening, people. Good afternoon. Good morning. Was there no sound of that? Please tell me there was sound of that. Oh, fuck. Low sound? Right. Okay, how's my mic audio? Uh, this is went to shit right away. It was very low. No volume. Right, okay. We're going to do this again. We're going to have a take two. I tried to surprise you all, but it didn't work. Mic is fine. Right. We'll do our hellos, then we'll get that back up again. I was trying to surprise us all by starting off a stream where we tune because of what it's about tonight, but we will get there. So I'll do my hellos. Real Vincent Griffin, glad to have you here. Thank you. Rory, evening brother. Sexy Amma, thank you. RPI, great to see you, mucker. Duke of Bradford, how's everything going over there? Enoch Paul, MBE, doing a danger field. Just typical. Right. Make us fine. Right, okay. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna eat that. I'm gonna lump it under here. Right. Hold on. Right. That's around about where we want to be. Put our sound back on. Back to StreamYard. Share screen. Really can't be having low volume on that. To make this the right shape. Here we go. I'll check. As soon as that starts, I'll go back to the thing and let me know what the audio was like. The show will improve. I've got all of my technical issues out of the way in the first fucking 4 minutes. But we still have 17 people here, so it's all good. Yes, the video clip you seen was Shankill Old Boys parading through Belfast City Centre on the 12th of July this year. These parades happen in Northern Ireland, one parade in the Republic of Ireland. There are parades in England, Scotland, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, pretty much all over the place. And they happen on the 12th of July to commemorate the Battle of the Boyne. And what we're going to be talking about is all the festivities that happen around the world, and more so in Northern Ireland on this date. And seeing as it's Ireland, because whenever all this stuff happened, it was Ireland, it was all one country. Obviously, it's all a bit fucking confusing, and there's bits to be explained. So I'm going to start with the date. In the calendar, as it sits now, we have our bonfires on the 11th of July, and we have our main parade on the 12th of July. It's the largest Orange Order parade date that there is. And there's a bit of contention about the date. I'll explain that now. Pope Gregory the 8th signed a papal bull in February 1582 proclaiming the reformed calendar that came to be known as the Gregorian calendar. The reforms were based on the suggestions of Italian scientist Luigi Galileo, with some modifications by Jesuit mathematician and astronomer Christopher Clivus. Eventually, non-Catholic countries did begin to adopt the Gregorian calendar. The Protestant regions of Germany, the Netherlands switched in the 17th century. Great Britain and territories of Britain followed suit in 1752, spreading the Gregorian calendar around the globe. So at this point in time, whenever these events were happening in Europe, you had a couple of yep, that seemed to be his thing, changing the calendar. The reason why I changed the calendar was they had a set date for Easter. At that point, it didn't come on the first full moon after the equinox. It was a set date, and it was moving further and further away from where it should be. So they reformed the calendar, and for us in Britain, that happened in 1752. Now, the Battle of the Boyne, which is the one that we celebrate, happened in 1690. So if you went to those people on the morning of that battle and asked them what date it was, they would tell you 12th of July. However, we have a lot of mischief making going on, where people saying that we're having our celebrations on the wrong date, because whenever the calendar changed, it's actually the 1st of July. So that's the first bit of bullshit we've got to deal with. So there you have it. Regardless of which calendar you use, the date that everything's celebrated on is the 11th of July. You have the bonfires. 12th of July, you have the main parade. And on the 13th of July, the Royal Black Receptory have a thing in a place called Scarva called the Sham Fight, where they have a parade and they have a bit of a reenactment. So that's the dates that we're dealing with in real times as it is now. I just want to have a wee quick check in the chat. That chanty music is actually quite good. I will give you that. So that's where we're up to with dates. So to go into what actually happened. On these, what we're going to start with is, I think we will have a look at the Battle of the Boyne. Seems a pretty good place to start. We'll have a look at that, and then we'll look at how it's celebrated. So I'm just get this early years history. Wait, my wars. I'm going to zoom this in a little bit. And I'm going to zoom this in again. Actually, I'm going to zoom that out one. If I do that, oh, that. There we go. That's good. We can live with that. Back to StreamYard, and we're going to share screen. Share screen. Chrome tab. And oh yes, that reminds me. Yes, there is going to be a bin making an appearance. The other thing that I should have said to get out in front of, unlike most of the other British traditions that I talk about in this channel, such as like, I don't know, the egg throwing competition, the cheese rolling, summer solstice, May Day, all of that. These celebrations are opposed by people that don't like anything British. And as much as I have noted their opposition, mostly with the bombs and the bullets that I grew up with, where they were, there was a strange one this year where a bin attacked the parade, and the bin actually did end up arrested. And whenever we get further on, I'm going to get some footage up of that. Dusty bin attacking the parade. Right. Nah. Where am I? Right. The Williamite Wars. Having land. Oh, very quick background. Where are people fighting? King James. King James got kicked out of the throne and run off to France, and King William of Orange became king. That's exactly it. Billy III, give me a second. King James was the king. He got turfed out, went to France, was in exile. William was king, and James decided to come back with his Jacobites, or come back via Ireland with his Jacobites, and thought he could fight his way up, take Ireland, and then move on and continue the war in mainland Britain. But it didn't just quite work out like that. So that's the basic background to the wars. Let's get a little drink. Having landed in Carrickfergus on the 14th of June 1690, King William marched south to engage the Jacobite army along the River Boyne on the 1st of July 1690. But at that time, it was the 12th of July. We'll have a calendar change. The field, as William advanced, the Irish retreated before him, so that by 30th June, his army had reached the top of the hill near the southern frontier of County Loch. In the valley beyond was the River Boyne, marking the boundary of Loch, Louth and Meath. Down and Boyne, down the Boyne at Old Bridge, the river could be forded. William viewed the terrain as low and thought it suitable for a battle which would be short and conclusive. The two kings had advantages over one another. James had the stronger position, but his troops appeared to be inferior in quality and quantity. He had around 30,000 men, of which a third were very good French infantry and equally fine Irish cavalry. William had about 36,000 men of various nationalities and languages. The preparation. When William studied the enemy across the Boyne, he agreed with his generals that they were not impossible, not impressive to look at, but added they may be stronger than they look, but weak or strong, I will soon know all about them. The Irish recognised William and the marksman fired at him. When it struck the gun holster of Prince George, gun holster of Prince George of Hesse, William cried, "The poor prince is killed." As he spoke, a second shot tore his coat and grazed his shoulder and drew blood. When William slumped over, the Irish thought that he had been killed. His men were shocked but quickly relieved when he said, "There is no harm done, but the bullet came quite close enough." His injury did not prevent him spending 19 hours in the saddle that day. Having assured himself that his men were ready for the battle, as he advised his officers that he intended to engage the enemy. The battle. The armies began to move at 4 a.m. on 12th of July. William ordered his right wing under the command of Macmart, a son of the old Duke, to march to the bridge at Slane, a few miles up the river. The troops were to cross there and to turn the left flank of the Irish army. James anticipated the move and dispatched Sir Neil O'Neill, nephew of Trachamel, with a regiment of dragoons to turn the Williamites back. But when O'Neill received a mortal wound, his men fled and made clear the way for the forces of King William. Lawrence, the French commander, feared that William's right wing would come up the rear of James's forces and dispatched to march on the French with his French soldiers and Staffield's cavalry in the direction of Slane Bridge. The decision meant that the forces near Old Bridge were left to be defended only by the Irish foot soldiers. When the battle was joined, they were easily defeated. Richard Hamilton put himself at the head of the cavalry, and under his command, they tried to change the course of the battle, fighting desperately in the bed of the Boyne against Solom's Blues. They drove the Danish brigade back and successfully attacked the Huguenots. Duke Schomberg, watching from the northern bank, decided the situation needed a general's intervention, and though not wearing defensive armour, he rode into the fray crying, "Come on, gentlemen, there are your persecutors." These were his last words, for after being circled by Irish cavalrymen when he moved on and was found dead, killed by 2 sabre wounds on his head and a bullet in the neck. King William arrived where the battle was hottest. In his presence, the tide was turned in his favour. Lord Mackay said of William, "One of the peculiarities of the man, ordinarily so saturnine and reserved, was that danger acted on him like wine, opened his heart, loosened his tongue, and took away all appearances of restraint from his manner. On this memorable day, he was seen wherever Pearl was the greatest. On the other hand, James, with his reputation as a soldier, was so concerned for his own safety that he stayed well away from the heart of the battle. When he realised that the defeat at the Boyne, he deserted the scene of battle and made for Dublin with a bodyguard commanded by Sirfield. He was followed by his troops, who suffered fewer losses than might have been expected. The reason for that was that William did not pursue them with the kind of enthusiasm and energy he had shown in the war. The losses of life at the Battle of the Boyne were much less than any battle of equal importance. The result, the Battle of the Boyne, was the most famous Irish battles, for it represented in the Europe of the day a signal of success for the Grand Alliance against Louis the fuck I don't know XIV. I'm not sure what those Roman numerals need. I should look that up. The drama of the two kings fighting at an Irish river for an English throne was a sensation itself. The fact that they represented the two major power groups in Europe and were supported by international armies gave the Boyne universal significance. The fight of James, the flight of James and William's triumphal entry into Dublin had all the marks of an overwhelming victory. With William's victory at the Boyne, the fate of James was sealed. So that was the Battle of Boyne, 1690. Billy Blogs, what about you? Ireland was weak because it was never united. It was full of warring tribes. Uh, Ireland was united until around about 500 BC, whenever the Celts arrived. – 14. Right, I'm just checking through the comments. Was it English? When was Ireland united again? It wasn't under the British. Billy, Ireland was all one country until 1921, whenever the partition happened with the whole home rule thing and the Battle of Somme, the stream that was dead like 2 weeks ago. That's the only time Ireland has not been one country. Yes, it's been fought over, but it's always been one. It was always one country up until then. Right, just checking through the comments. The troubles, the trouble with history is it's mostly written by the winners. I don't trust history. Uh, well, you may not be pleased to know that the history is currently being rewritten. There's lots and lots of stuff. Uh, Spanish chicken that you go back and the history book says quite different things than what it said 10 to 15 years ago. I don't think, uh, I don't think you would probably get on with people that are doing the rewriting. So that is basically what happened on the day of the battle. Now, so what I'm going to get into now is uh, the traditions that have sprung up around. It was Sansa men disagree on that one. uh, yes, it was mostly It was mostly clans, but I think you'll find that those clans banded together into two groups after Ireland was invaded at between 500 and 250 BC. Very well, here's the thing: history needs looked after, and that is a big reason why we do the things that we do. So that's your brief history on the Battle of the Boyne. Yes, 250 BC. That's whenever the Celts arrived. The Celts arrived in Ireland between 500 BC and 250 BC in waves. The largest and most successful wave being the Nails. That was spelt with a U at that time. Uh, so there you go. Broken silence. Good to see you, chum. Uh, so, what traditions do we have? I'm going to go through this in order. So, the first one that you have is on the 11th of July. We have our bonfires. Uh, I'll get a couple of pictures up of bonfires. Think. Let's see. I'm going to avail of my Telegram. I'm not just quite as organized as normal tonight. Oh, fuck. Because I've been feeling a bit crappy all week, and I've got like a stab in my eye, and I've been trying to avoid screen time and stuff. Actually, show Telegram. Not your fault at all. Right. Hold on. I'm going to hide that and show Telegram. Crap, the video I thought was on Telegram's on WhatsApp. Shite. Right. Right, hold on. Well, this is unfortunate. Right. I'm now searching for this crap live. Let's see. Right. Right. We're going to go with this one. I think. Right. Oh, fuck off. None above. Sansom sent me something on Telegram. What have you sent me? Oh, brilliant. Thanks, mate. Right. I fucked up. Hold on. Where's that happened? Right. Okay. Sansom, thanks for that link, mate. I will use that later. Uh, and sorry for the disorganization, people. I'm just looking up a bit of video of a bonfire. All right. Hold on. Right. StreamYard. Share. Share screen. That is uh, that is a world record breaking bonfire. Largest one in the world, 202 feet in Carrihallion and Lauren. Uh, Needless to say, not all of our bonfires look like this. Are quite that tall, but they are generally that shape in the current guise. Uh, the other oh yes, we will watch that going up and smoking them out. My bonfires. Where's that one for Myanmar? That is very much the thing. And that's how they get to these fucking sorts of sizes because everybody tries to outdo each other. Uh, the bonfires that I was building whenever I was a teenager never got to be that sort of height. And I'm going to get a picture of one burning. Uh, right. Here we go. I'm going to search again. Where the hell did that video go? Yeah, we're going to go with this one. Yeah. at the opacity. StreamYard share screen. Right, hold on. I think we've had enough of that. So you get the general idea. There's a few methods of it does look a bit like a Hindenburg. Where was Billy's ones? Yes, the windows in the houses nearby have got wood on them because if you don't, the windows crack. But we know to put the wood on it, so that doesn't really happen. Uh, where was the other one? Now, where was Linda? Unfortunately, that was one down on the line. I didn't get anyone near that. Uh, Billy Billy Blogs was asking how they get it to light at the top. There's a couple of ways that they'll do that. Uh, one is somebody climb up there and light it up at that height. Uh, Another thing that they'll do is they'll pre-soak that top bit with petrol and have like a drainage on it and soak a rope in petrol and have the rope towed all the way to the ground, then light the rope and the fire go up the rope and then light the petrol on the top. Whenever you're lighting bonfires that are tall, you need to light them at the very least 3/4 of the way up because they don't burn symmetrical. And if you light them from the bottom up, they'll topple before half of them's on fire. You'll notice that one that whenever it did topple, it was ablaze all the way down and then it tipped. But by that stage, it had already lost quite a bit of its height because the fire had consumed it. Yes, climb up. uh, I was a bit the pictures that I thought I had on Telegram RP, I had on WhatsApp, which I can't actually get on the computer screen, which is a bit of a bollocks. So we'll have to make do that. Well, anyway, the reason why we like these fires is whenever King William was arriving home, or not arriving home, arriving in Ireland, there were beacons lit to uh, actually there were beacons lit along the coast of Carrickfergus to guide him the way in, and the beacons that we light across Northern Ireland are a reenactment of that. Now, 1 second, I should be able to find this. Right. No. Hold on. This workaround's taking a little longer than I thought. And these fires would generally be lit, traditionally lit at midnight on the 11th night. Right. Clickety click. Right. That's done. And if I delete that, back to StreamYards. Finder. Share screen. Share screen. Window. Now, if you have a look at that, old school, this is what the bonfires sort of look like whenever I was a kid. Oh, is that a punter there? No, it's not. Look, the mattress on the top. This is a sort of bonfires wigwam shape that. Yeah, that's the sort of thing we did whenever I was like the same age as these lads here as a teenager. You went around, you got old doors and all sorts of stuff and stacked it up in a pyramid. And you spent probably about 3 months trying to hide your wood from the other bonfires from 2 or 3 streets away that would uh, give them half a chance come and steal your fucking wood. Uh, right, you had James and his. No, but like, oh, right, one at a time. What languages were the protagonists at the Battle of the Boyne fighting? Well, James had French with him, and he had Irish with him. Uh, William had obviously Dutch. No, wouldn't have been any Gaelic. The Irish, the Irish weren't speaking. The Irish weren't speaking Gaelic at that time. They had went through Pidgin English and then the English. There's Ragnar Lorne the Tone at all. So and William had with him. He had Dutch with him. He had British. He had French Huguenots with him. Uh, so there'd been quite a few languages being spoken. So that happens on the 11th night. You go around and see your bonfires, and then we have the parade on the 12th day, which is run and organised by the Orange Order. So we'll do a little bit of history on the Orange Order. Yes, French prods. Ah, yeah. See, it turns out that you can actually buy pallets specifically for the purpose of burning. They're not really left over. Those big, massive towers, they're buying in lorry loads of pallets to burn. Uh, I also know that, yeah, and there are places specifically that store broken and damaged pallets that are still serviceable, and they would put all those to the side and then sell them off for cheap come July, or well, not July, come May, June is when those things start getting stored up. I would never condone such a thing. I would, and I definitely would never, ever, ever have been, whenever I was like 15, 16, anywhere near uh, storage areas that uh, had pallets and stuff. Definitely not. That's not even a Minecraft. But uh, for the big massive towers that are being built now, RP, you couldn't steal that now. Nah. So yes, we're going to have a. I could actually stop that. I could stop that share, and we'll have a look at the history of the Orange institutions. Uh, right. So the parades that you see, the one at the very start with the bands and stuff, they are run and organised by the Orange Order. Did I? But happily actually got round to doing the show. Yep. So that was bonfires whenever I was a kid, not those big crazy towers. Yes, uh, hedges and fences have indeed been uh, ended up on bonfires. I'm going to share a screen. Share screen. Chrome tab. Right. So these guys had with the collarettes and sashes and banners and stuff that walk on the 12th of July and many other dates during the year. Well, this is when they were formed and how they came to be. The Royal Orange Institution was formed after the Battle of the Diamond on the 2nd of September 1795. The skirmish was between the Roman Catholic defenders and the Protestants of the area. When it ended, the Protestants formed a circle, joined hands, and declared their brotherhood and loyalty to the crown, the country, and the Reformed religion. The first shots at the diamond were fired by the defenders, that was the Catholics, on Monday, September 21st, 1795. The armies faced each other across a valley. The Protestants on Craigan Hill and the Roman Catholics on Froggatt Hill. The Protestants routed their enemies without suffering any casualties. The defenders who were killed have been estimated figures between 16 and 50. An eyewitness put the number at 30. It had been the intention of the Roman Catholics to drive the Protestants out of the country. The authorities kept a low profile, apparently satisfied to leave the combatants to it. The local commander, Captain John Gilfield of the Royal Dublin Militia, stationed at Portadown, was to be accorded a pivotal place in the founding of the institution. Gilford was present in Sloane's Inn at Loughgall when the Orange Order was founded. Present at the first meetings of the Orangemen were James Wilson of the Dean, Thomas Sinclair of Derry Scallop, James Sloan, the Lothgall innkeeper, at whose house they were held. Sloan was evidently regarded as the first leader. At the beginning, the membership was of the labouring and artisan classes. Only a few of the gentry joined, among them Viscount Norland of Dungannon. A small number of professional men were represented by Joseph Atkins, the Reverend George Mance, curate of Drumcree, in 1781 and 1804. Drumcree Church of Ireland Church is currently in controversy because the annual church parade hasn't been allowed to get to it for decades because people don't like orange men getting to church, apparently. The Reverend George Marshall, Rector of Dromore, County Tyrone, Captain Clark, Summer Island, Mr. Brian Lurgan, Major Waring of Warringstown. The Vanners of Churchill also became members. The Institute grew so rapidly that district and county lodges were formed. The several counties had their own rules and soon needed to be recognised that there should be a uniformity practiced. And with this in mind, delegates meeting was held on the 12th of July, 1796 at Portadown, when the idea of a Grand Lodge was also mooted. Wolseley Atkinson of Portadown was appointed secretary at the requested to issue printed lodge warrants. These had been issued previously by James Sloan on pure quality paper and handwritten. The first Orange parades were held on July 12, 1796 at Portadown, Lurgan, Warrington. By 1798, large parades were held in Belfast, Lisburn, and Lurgan, where the general officer commanding, Lord Lieutenant General, inspected the parade. So we're talking 1796. If I do some quick cut, 1796, 1819. It's over 200 years these parades have been going on. And what happened with the Grand Orange Lodge of Ireland, it formalised how the lodge how the lodges individually acted, give them a single set of rules, and also spawning sometime after that was the Royal Black Preceptory, because they had some traditions and stuff that they wanted to keep. So they done that on their own. But generally speaking, their meeting rooms are inside Orange Halls. Where the Orange Order started off from was a group of people gathering together to protect themselves from aggression. It has now become a purely, it's become a religious and political endeavor. And there is, in fact, if you're found to be involved with paramilitarism or anything like that, you'll get yourself removed from an Orange Lodge. Spit it out, mate. Stick it in the chat and I'll answer it as best I can. Uh, and the other thing that's happening is these Orange Lodges, apart from being involved in the parades and stuff, uh, they also form. Hold on. I've heard things about Orange Lodges that dodgy people in the past. What have you heard, Billy? Have you heard that there's dodgy people in Orange Lodges, or that Orange Lodges do dodgy things? No, that's an Orange Lodge I'm referring to. The Freemasons are different. I'll get a picture up of a red Orange Lodge. So, give me one memento. Right. Let's see. Actually, I know what I need to do. Right, here we go. Right. 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 Just give us a second. Uh, I find a suitable clip to explain this to you. Right. Okay. StreamYard. Share screen. Right. Can we all see this? Right. I'm going to put this on and give a bit of a commentary and do a bit of a pause and whatnot. Right. See these guys here, front and center, with orange collarettes on? These are members of an Orange Lodge, right? And where you'll see them publicly is on the 12th of July, 1st of July, many other parading dates. They come out and they carry these large banners. Uh, can't quite make out what's on that one. I'm going to let this play through a bit. So, so see the way you had one bunch of people walking behind a large banner like this, and then you've got a gap, and then another bunch of people. Well, you can tell that these lodge members are in different lodges because they're behind a different banner, right? And on these collarettes, right? On these collarettes, you'll have the lodge number on one side. So, for example, LOL 488 or whatever, and you'll have something on the other side normally saying what their current role is within the lodge, be secretary, treasurer, worshipful master, whatever. Or a lot of them will have a badge on it says PM, which means past master, which means at some stage they have been the master of that lodge. Right. If you really think a bunch of working class men from Belfast are running the world, you've got bigger problems with whether or not the Orange Order is the Freemasons. Uh, what these guys do is they turn up once a month, they have their lodge meeting, they try to keep their head above money, they gather up some money because they pay the bands that take them places. Right. This is where I've got to figure out what's public knowledge and what's not. I think it's uh, there is the Royal Black Preceptory that we're going to talk about very shortly. Would be an offshoot of the Orange Order, and they would have different degrees, whereas the Orange Order are all brethren. That's why there was an offshoot between the Orange Order and the Royal Black Preceptory, because the Grand Orange Lodge decided that everybody was going to be the same and there wouldn't be different. Yep. Uh, Up until about 1967, there would have been half their orange halls, and inside the orange hall you'll have one large hall that's designed for dancing and stuff, and you'll have a lot of rooms off it where the individual lodges sit and have their meetings. Uh, and up until about 1969, there would have been tea dances in the evening in these halls that would have been attended by uh, both religions. And then the shit happened and everybody had to be segregated. Uh, what the other thing that's happening a lot in Orange Halls at the minute is there are uh, what do you call that bank? Something credit. Emma G, are you still awake? What's the name for the community banks that you have? Family credits coming to my head, but what's not it? These aren't sashes, Billy. These are collarettes. A sash goes straight across from one shoulder to hip, and the same across the back. And a collarette is in a V shape. Yes, Rex, that's it. Credit union. Yes, there's a lot of orange halls that are getting credit unions running in them. Linda Hunter, they're very similar to building societies, but they're not for profit. They're basically to uh, try to find a way to give working class people a better option than uh, sorry, Linda. They're a way of trying to give working class people a better option than payday lender type things. Uh, Billy, I know you're not trying to attack anybody. I get that, chum. Don't worry. Just sort of. No, mate. The function of the Orange Order is to protect the history and traditions of the British people in Northern Ireland. That's pretty much where it starts, middles, and ends. Uh, that's why our parades are on the dates of famous battles. That's why, uh, and they also have their own historians and lecturers that go from one lodge to another, so that we are in control of how our history is told. I spoke earlier about history being rewritten. Well, this is how working class people are keeping hold of their. Oh, please tell me I'm not muted. uh, so basically, that's what the Orange Lodges are like. Nah, where else was I going to go? Oh, yes. And some people don't like that these parades happen. So I'm going to get you a video of. Thanks, Roy. Right. Going to get our next bit of video. Uh, I just get this found. Oh, there's a very one there. Right. Get that back to there. We're in theater mode, StreamYards. Share screen. Chrome tab. Sure. StreamYard, we're up. Take the old fan off. Here we go.
Oh shit! Oh, he threw a bin at them! Oh fuck! Oh fuck! Oh, he's way into the house! Oh Jesus Christ! Oh Jesus Christ! Oh Jesus Christ! Oh! Oh! Oh my god! They just smashed the fucking window! Oh my god! 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 Oh holy fuck!
Oh my god.
Oh.
Right. Go back to this.
Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for watching the channel.
Right, get that one out. That indeed is the Holy Lance. That's Eglantine Avenue. The This area is not a Republican area. It's actually transient. Most of those houses you see in that video, there are people. Uh, uh, there are multiple people living in each of those houses. They're all flattened off. And what happened is that one wanker got a uh, uh, got all excited. Got himself a room, and he has decided to throw the wheelie bin in. And the predictable result was the wheelie bin was arrested. I would just get that video. Well, unfortunately, it wasn't his window that got broken. It was the guy that lived in the flat beneath him.
Arrest that bin. Oh my god.
Yep. They arrested the fucking bin. Yes, they arrested the bin. The band in question had yes, they scooped the fucking bin. Yep. The band didn't know that that house was all divided up in the flats, so what they were trying. The band's explanation is they thought there was possibly a bomb strapped inside the bin, and there have been explosive devices thrown on the parades. There have been cars driven on the parades. It's not that. It's not that strong a stretch to think that it could have been that. So they were trying to get the bin inside the house where it came from before it went bang, is their explanation. They have paid for repairing the windows for the guy that had, for whoever it was, got their window wrongly broken. And the guy that threw the wheelie bin was arrested. That's the updates and all of that. No, 5 helium over here. Yeah, they did pay for the window. The bank got somebody out, likely split, to get that fixed. So there is that. And the wheelie bin got arrested. So what else happens around the 12th? So we've got the parades, we've got the lodges, we've got the bands. The other thing that happens is the sham fight, which happens in a place called Scarva on the 13th of July, which is run by the Royal Black Preceptory. I'm going to flick this on a bit. Actually, we'll give you a little bit of this. Marzipan, you still about?
I'm on left for a bit. Stop. John, yeah. Turn it off.
So that is a wee snippet of the sham fight that happens every year in a place called Scarva, and they have a bit of a reenactment. That's exactly what happened. It was the Battle of Boyne was the beginning and the end of the Holy War. It totally freaked out. Again, 12th of July, 1691, in the Battle of Acre. So there you have. That's a wee bit of the sham fight. So that's pretty much all of the traditions and stuff that happens around the 12th of July. There we go. And the floor is now open for questions. And I'm gonna, yes. Everything looks awfully white here. We don't have a lot of non-natives. And yes, you can see from everything that's going on there, the absence of diversity, and that's the way we like it. No. This is the 13th of July, the sham fight. This malarkey here.
I'm on left for a bit. Stop. John, yeah. Turn it off.
So that's King William, obviously in red, and King James in green. Now what I think I'm going to do is, yes, I'm going to take that out. We're going to do something completely different. Hey, Dad. Show Telegram. Right. Just looking this up. Sansom sent me this link, so it's going to be good. This is our strange sport. Yes, paddle tennis. fucking squash with a net in the middle of it. What the hell's going on? Yes, Roy Herbert. Yes, now for something completely different. This paddle tennis is cool. It's like it's squash with a net. That was cool. Boss, enlighten me about this 3 year limerick stuff. Six. When was that, or what was it about? Because that's something I don't know about. Oh, if anybody wants to see more of that sport, it's called paddle tennis, and the World Championships are now on. So you'll be able to find some of that. Rory, what are you saying? Have you ever played rackets? Somewhat similar, but without the net. Uh, Racquetball would be what we would call squash, I think, or very similar. I think is racquetball not an American name for squash? No be. Caesar. Yep, Sanson, you did. That was a good call. I like that. And I guess I could be wrong about racquetball. I thought racquetball was an American like name for squash, where you have two people inside a court that has a wall, and you hit the ball off the wall, and then the person has to hit the rebound. No, it's an old English game. Oh, we're gonna have to look into this. We like sort of old traditional games. We're in that. No, the Pope did not send William over. Uh, didn't the Pope send William of Orange over to kill King James like a mafia hit? Or is that what I will say is the Pope was getting fed up with the endless war, and he wasn't totally displeased that the thing got settled one way or another. But he did not pay for William's army. He did not send them over like a mafia hit. Right. Is there anything else I need to have a look at here? Right. What are we doing? We've done an hour and a half. And what we're going to do, we're going to open this up. And if anybody wants to come in, there's a link in the chat, and you just can come in if you just want. We'll have a chat. I think the Pope was just glad that the war was over. But he didn't pay for it. He didn't necessarily want it to happen. The French stopping being pricks and trying to rule the rest of Europe was just not something that the Pope was overly invested in. And he would rather they behave themselves. Right. And do you know what they did? And do you know what happened with them after they broken silence? Please do. Love to have a chat. So the treaty was basically allowing the Jacobite units to flee to France. And do you know what happened to them in France? They couldn't get on with the French, and eventually they fucked off to yes, they fucked off to a place Canada, Quebec, where they now can't get on with Canadians. Who would have fucking thunk it? $15, $30, $40 an advantage? No. Broken. Click this link. Get in for a chat, chum. Right. Where are we? It's because it's based on a clock face, not 15, 30, 40 advantage. Removing the hand of 45 precision. Then if they won the point, it went back to naught, otherwise back to 40. Excellent. I didn't know that. That is actually quite interesting. I've always sort of wondered about that. Oh, take the flags out as. Yeah. Rackets began as an 18th century pastime in debtor's prison. They modified the game of fives by using tennis rackets. They played it against the prison wall or at a corner to add a side wall to the game. That's actually quite interesting. Broken Silence, if you have hit that link, here you are. Oh, Ragnar has appeared.
Am I coming through?
Yep, you are.
Right.
Coming through loud and clear. How's yourself?
Just same old, same old.
What about the health? Are you getting any better?
No. I'd be permanently in a wheelchair from next week, I think.
You're getting a proper wheelchair next week.
Yeah, proper wheelchair. Yeah, one that I can
Well,
actually push myself on. You know, I have one that the sister-in-law takes me down to hospital appointments in, and it's one of them wee ones with the tiny wheels on it, so you can't push yourself anywhere on it.
yeah.
So
Well, at least you'll have a better mobility with this one then.
yeah.
Yeah. And then it's just take every day as it comes, chum.
No way. So I've
Yep.
been through worse. Probably be through worse again shortly. So
Yeah.
the good old NHS, you know.
Yep. Uh, anything else going on? You've Wheelander on tomorrow night.
Yeah, I have the Wetlander on tomorrow night. Jack's had 2 wisdom teeth out.
Ooh.
Now he has a massive fucking infection in his mouth,
Ooh.
which is killing him. And he's on antibiotics and a whole pile of other stuff. But he's soldiering on because he was looking forward to it. We had one date that was empty, and we were trying to get bars on.
Yep.
But people don't think that me and Paz will sort of get on that well because of political opinion, you know. Him being a Civnat and me being slightly slightly further right than Adolf Hitler. But
Well, well, let's clear one thing up. Hitler was not on the right.
no, he was on the left actually.
Yes, Hitler, the National Socialist Workers' Party.
Yeah,
The difference between National Socialism and International Socialism is one's for a country and one's for the world.
yes.
So,
I keep on getting these fucking notification things coming up. I'm still trying to figure out this computer. No,
it's pinging, pinging, pinging.
ping, ping, ping. But Jack's coming up for a weekend to help me build a studio
Uh-huh.
for music and streaming, and sort of soundproof the room off, and I can put all my musical gear in there, recording gear, uh, hook it up to this computer, and I'll be able to sort of produce tunes and just keep myself busy, you know,
Yep.
instead of sitting stewing all day, freaking waiting for somebody to come and take you out down to the shop or down to
Yeah.
another appointment. So, you know, I had the fucking worst thing the other day there. I had my fucking jaw wired open with this plastic thing, and your woman stuck this camera down my throat, and I was lying on my side, and I could see the screen behind her. And it was fascinating to watch, but fuck, it was uncomfortable. Hey, you think you're just joking all the time, you know. There's
Oh.
DJ.
Yep. There's DJ. What about you, chum?
How's it going, boys?
Going good. How's yourself?
I know what I'd like. Stream number 3 for me today. Fucking, I've been down working all week, like, so making up for lost time, I guess. No videos, but make up for it in the stream department, I guess.
I was hoping we could get a lads' night every month where we get 42 and there's us and the ladies and myself and Jax and a couple of other ones all just chew the fat and talk about, you know, I hear Boris Johnson's going to start his own new Conservative Party.
Is he?
Apparently, yes.
What the fuck? I didn't know that. Like, that's kind of thrown me off my stride a bit. Like, man, fuck. As if anybody should take that seriously.
If he's a conservative, I'm the frickin' Pope.
No, man. He's a fucking larper. But with regards to your original suggestion, I mean, I wouldn't rule that out. Like, I mean, I mean, provided you don't ruin like what you did with my stream that I had to cut the last hour out of. If you remember, Mr. Ragnar, you remember that stream that you ruined? Yes, I'm looking at you. My stream that you ended up with Exod Viking. Talking about porn on my stream, and you made me have to cut out the last hour. You remember that? Yeah. So, provided we can have a wee caveat where you don't do that again, I'd be up for that. Like, and then you just go on talking about, you know what I'm talking about, you dick.
Yeah, anytime on your streams, we should have a safe word. So if I say something, you boys just say the safe word, and I'll stop talking.
Oh yeah, listen. I if I remember rightly, I told you 4 or 5 different times to stop talking about the P word on my stream, and you kept going. You kept going.
DJ, here's a solution. What Ragnar's talking about doing is bringing you onto his stream. So just go on and annihilate him.
I just start dropping N-bombs and that. When he jars me, just keep going, like,
I've already got 2 strikes, so I'm taking on the thin ice here.
Right. And we need to say hello to Rory, who's just dropped in.
Yeah, right.
Hi, yes, good evening, gentlemen. How are you?
Not too bad.
Well, Ragnar, I'm sorry to hear about your health problems. That's something to pray for. But no, 42, I was going to say. Yeah, excellent stream. Very interesting.
Well, thank you very much.
I'm always impressed how the Ulstermen celebrate such occasions. It's very impressive to me. Don't do that in England very often.
They used to do it in England, though. Before Tony Blair shut it all down, did he not?
Tony Blair can't. Tony Blair and your Prime Minister cannot stop you if you want to do stuff. It really is that simple. If you have a group of people, like the Orange Order started doing these parades over 200 years ago, and that started because a bunch of people decided they were going to do it, and they worked within the laws of the land at the time, and it became a tradition. In the same way that they can't stop the cheese rolling, they can't stop the egg throwing, they can't stop any of that stuff. You just go about and you organise it and you do it.
Yeah, but unfortunately, 42, they do. I mean, I remember where I live, we had this sort of go-kart race, downhill race thing, and that was cancelled about 5 years ago by the local council for so-called health and safety reasons.
Yeah, health and safety.
Ragnar, I mean, there was no health and safety problems whatsoever. They just made it up. I mean, somebody might have got injured because they fell off a go-kart. I mean, for goodness sake.
That's where somebody needs to pipe up and ask them for their risk assessment. Because whenever the council stops anything on grounds of health and safety, they're supposed to have produced a risk assessment, which they can show you, which says why they can't do it. What you'll find probably at the bottom of that was an insurance company. The majority of health and safety, the majority of health and safety things that get shut down is because insurance company has said we're not going to cover that, and then you change the model of your organization and you do what they do with football and take a liability off the council and insurance company and on the individual participants.
But that's what they did 42 with the old road races, the corridor under and the temple and all these different ones. They all got shut down over health and safety reasons, and they couldn't get insurance to cover them. But they were traditional, you know, some of them have run for over 100 years.
Have they all stopped?
Yeah, they're all stopped. Corridor doesn't run anymore. The only ones that run now is the Northwest 200 and the Ulster Grand Prix and Armoy. And is it Tandragee? And I think Tandragee's teetering on being cancelled as well.
Oh, have you heard the latest? There are some events in England that are now being shut down because of the hot weather over the next 2 days.
Yes, and the kids sports days.
Yeah, I think some flower shows as well. Local events.
Yeah.
I mean, it's absolutely nuts. It's like, I mean, to be honest, I was going to go to a classic and supercar show tomorrow, and I actually decided, no, there's no way I'm going to spend a whole day at 38 degrees centigrade in the sun and without any shade. So I thought, no, I won't bother to do that. But at the end of the day, it's one's own choice.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think though when they start going down that road of cancelling events and whatnot because of the heat, it just is done really to reinforce the narrative that they're pushing at the moment. You know what I mean? Because as I said in the stream, I did was saying some earlier on. Obviously, it was before my time, but the 1970s and whatnot, extortionate heat in summer. There was never this overreaction. And now every time there's a bit of nice weather, I mean, people seem to forget that this is the summer. It goes without saying there's going to be relatively warm weather when it's the summer, but they just overreact on purpose. So by extension, that's why you see events being cancelled and whatnot, because it helps to sort of reinforce the narrative that they're trying to push. And it just irritates. That's why you see, because again, I was talking to Sensen about every article on the BBC website for it is just, it's heat wave, heat wave. No, it's the summer. You know what I mean? Like, come back and talk to me when there's a heat wave during winter, and then maybe I'll change my mind. Like,
yeah,
they were painting train tracks white to disperse the heat, and I'm thinking, do you know what they have in Australia? Fucking trains, and they don't need to paint the tracks white. It's the level of bullshit is off the scale.
Yeah.
Just to pick up on resisting the lies point, if I may, 42. I do remember what it was like in the 70s. It was the late 70s, and it went on for 30 days. Very high temperatures. 70, probably 80, 90 actually Fahrenheit. Everyone loved it. They were all sunbathing, going to the beach, having a lot of fun. There was no government saying, "Oh, you can't do this, can't do that." A different time back then, I have to say.
yeah, was it not one of those years? I don't know which one, but one of those years in the 1970s was the hottest summer on record, and it's still like, even now.
76, I think.
Yeah, pretty sure. Like, even now,
or 73, maybe. Yeah.
Well, provided you ignore the medieval warm period where we were growing grapes.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, do you know what? I'll type it in and I'll get it because it's very interesting. Like what are they called? I've talked about it before on Steam, but I've never actually shown them the.
While you're doing that, resisting the lies, they're talking about 40 degrees centigrade in London on Monday, and that will be the highest. If it reaches that, that will be the highest recorded temperature on record. I think the previous highest was 37.
I remember the summers back in the 70s, growing up as a kid, and we used to get a cardboard box and flatten it down, and we went up to the Mount Sandal Forest, and it had an old Norman fort in it, and it was just like a grass mound with a big dip in it. That's what we did as kids. Put the cardboard between our legs and shot down the side of it like lunatics. And then in the winter, when it was all covered in snow, because we had summer and winter, used to get a plastic feed bag um, from the farmers and put it between your legs and do the exact same blooming thing, you know. And no, there was no freaking health and safety. There was no, you can't do this, you can't do that, you know. They shut down the BMX parks here. They shut down the, what did you call it, skateboard bowls, the bowls they call them, you know. So, you know, even football now, kids can't play football because it destroys their knees and their ligaments and stuff like that there.
Are you living in a different world than me, Ragnar? Because I see kids playing football all the time.
No, what I'm saying is, see, at school now, they limit the time a child can play football or rugby or anything like that there because of, like, I played rugby and football in school from I was small. And yes, my knees and my joints are buggered now. I raced motocross too when I was younger, and I've had my fair share of accidents. But it comes with the territory. How many professional footballers are sitting with how many knee operations? You know,
Well, you'll find that most of the footballers with heavy knee damage is from the 70s. When they were injured, they used to stick a painkiller into them and make them play on.
yeah.
Prevent Now that's wrong. You need to be not doing that. But uh, limiting there is a problem with kids football in Northern Ireland with the way some of the training's done, but it's not being shut down. Like, I know kids that play for teams. I know kids that, well, I don't know kids. I know people whose kids play for teams. I know people whose kids play for the school team, and that's all still going on.
2 sec. Can I share my screen? For it's only only about a minute long. This is really interesting. This, and she does a better job of explaining it than I would. It's just when I found out about this, I was mesmerized by this. Like, wait till you see this quickly. This is regarding like what you were on about the medieval war period and that. Right. So like, even if you take the title of the video, don't get like bogged down in that, whether or not you believe in Agenda 21, because you just need to type in these stones that she's about to talk about and you'll see them yourself. But anyway, so I'll play this. It's only about a minute or so, then she moves on to the next thing.
This next one, please. Now, I'm going to talk to you about an interesting phenomenon. It's in the Czech Republic, in the River Elbe. And they're called the hunger stones. I don't know if has anybody ever heard of them? No. It came to light this year, actually, because we have had a major drought in Europe, and all the global warmists will say, oh, it's global warming. But no, it's a natural sun cycle, actually. And these stones will prove it. Now, these stones usually lay underwater, but when there's massive mega droughts, they reveal themselves. Now, they haven't revealed themselves for hundreds of years, but they've revealed themselves this summer. And they have etched into them all the dates of every mega drought that's ever happened, and what happened in those mega droughts. Like, there were famines because of crop failures. And that's where these are. It's a stretch of river that goes from the Czech Republic to Germany. And there's 12 hunger stones along that river. And it's proof that the hot periods historically were not caused by CO2 or cars. The dates cover a period of about 476 years. Next one, please. The dates in
I'll stop it there. Like, my point is, like, all these dates are carved into. It's not just the medieval warm period. All these different dates are carved into these stones, and they only ever appear when there's massive droughts. But the drought that she was speaking about took place because this was done, I think, around about 2020. This presentation took place, but like I think it was either 2020 or 2019. There was a massive drought, and the river near enough dried out completely, and they had all the climate hysteria, etc., etc. But yet the stones revealed, well, this isn't the first time this happened, and this was this was pre-industrial revolution eras. I don't know. Honestly, you should look up these stones. Like, very interesting.
DJ, there's my uncle used to tell us stories of them boys going swimming in the River Band, and they jumped off the bridge. And they just had a pair of shorts on, and they jumped off the bridge. They swam back to shore. They climbed up the hill again, got onto the bridge, and then leapt off again. In the winter, it was that cold that you could ice skate on the river, And these things go in cycles.
Yeah.
The last couple of years, there's been big ice slabs seen in the river band. Now, they haven't been fully formed and the whole river is frozen, but they're coming back. And weather goes in cycles. But everybody will tell you, no, it's global warming. It's global warming. It's CO2. Right,
Sorry, Ragnar.
Get rid of all the CO2. What the fuck are the plants going to live on?
Exactly. I mean, we should follow that. It's logical conclusion in the long term. It's near enough genocide, or do you think about it? But
I was just going to say, 42. There was a comment in the chat by Stephen Campbell, and he says, "Yay, 42. That's what I keep telling people. England had vineyards in the medieval period. Why are folks shocked that you're all hitting 40 now, i.e. 40 degrees, I guess?" But it's interesting to read that because a friend of my father's actually had a vineyard down here in Dorset, and it was extremely successful. And actually, the wine was really not that bad, But she had that for years. That was normal.
Mm-hmm. Well, that is Jesus. I mean, well, it sort of sounds abnormal to me in the sense that, I mean, that can't have been that long ago, historically speaking. But I mean, what we're talking in the last 100 years or so. But wow, I mean, I know the medieval war period that was around about the Roman era, right, or just before it. But to think that, I mean, that's obviously post-pre. I always get confused with them. That's pre-industrial revolution. But yet they blame CO2 and the Industrial Revolution for the so-called climate emergency that we're in now. But no, that's I did not know that about. To think that 100 years ago there was vineyards, like Jesus, that's interesting.
Yep. And anyway, guys, it's been great chatting to you. I need to nip off and take my evening tablets and bits and pieces. But I will be moderating still in the chat from the phone. But I'm shutting down the computer here for a while.
Nice talking to you, Regs, and thanks for dropping on, and look after yourself, chum.
And in the words of Vinnie Jones, it's been emotional.
Yeah, good night. Good night, Rags.
If you want to sub to my channel, I do have the Woodlander on, and I have the Ayatollahs coming on.
Who?
Ayatollah.
Oh, aye.
He's coming on. I'm trying to get more sort of people like yourself and all, DJ. 42 comes on a regular basis and things like that there. And we do have a good chat.
Aye, no bother, did you? No bother, like. Been on a few times already. I'm a very sought after guy. What can I say? I'm so talented.
Yeah.
The Woodland is a good chap, Ragnar. I've met him in person, and he'll be a great guest for you.
Without a doubt. He's on with me and Scott Stormer as well, I think, the Sunday after. Like.
Yeah, he's Sunday after he's on with you guys.
So don't be asking him all the questions, like, or we'll have nothing to say to me. Take it easy, guys.
Well, I have one mod that's trying to do the exact same thing as Outlander did, but it's becoming harder to get that land and being able to set up a caravan on it or whatever, and make yourself your own wee, live off the grid. Over here in Northern Ireland, we have a thing called Freeland, which is owned by the Water Board, and a 100-year lease is £100, so it's £1 a year. And as long as you don't put a permanent structure on it, you could put, the people that build them, they're like shipping containers, houses, and you can take them down. That's what they're doing themselves now, and they're living off the grid.
I think what the Woodlander was saying recently was that there's a bill about to go through Parliament where they're extending what was known as the 4-year rule to 10 years. And that was an old law that said if you built a house or a structure, on some land and no one complained for 4 years, then you were free to live in it. No one, the council then couldn't come back and tell you that that you had to take it down. But yes, apparently there's a new bill going through which is saying it's going to be 10 years now, which of course gives people much more longer to complain about it if they find you doing it.
Anyway, I'll let you boys get on because I see my girlfriend's on the chat there, Linda. I have a lot of love for Linda. All right, guys. Okay.
All right, Regs, later, chum.
But I don't know if you've ever heard of those stones, but I just kind of blew my mind when I was watching that presentation when I heard of that. Supposed to show.
No, mate, they're news to me, and they're actually very interesting.
I'll give you the link to the presentation. It's an hour and 11 minutes long, but it's well worth the watch, because she sort of breaks down. It was a sort of like crash course. Well, for me, it was more about refreshing my memory because it's been a long time since I've looked into Agenda 2030 and 21 and whatnot. But it's like a good crash course if you're not familiar. But
yeah,
shit, quite a lot.
I remember that I've known about Agenda 21 for quite some time, and here's a really interesting one. Do you remember how and when Jordan Peterson shot the Fame?
Yeah.
Yeah. 1 week he was nowhere, and the next week everybody knew about him because he had went against the pronouns.
But Bill C16 or something.
Yeah. Well, do you know what he had done?
I know. Yeah, but I like to say it
yeah. About a month before that, he had wrote the part of the foreword for Agenda 21 with a view to changing the thinking of young men and get them back onto provide and protect model, and then he became famous.
Yeah. I'll see if that video's still about, actually. Do you know the amount of people over recent times that I've seen that have watched that now? It's refreshing to see, because it was a guy called Resurrection Europa. I don't know if you've heard of him, where I first seen it, here he covered it, and he went over the document in parts, and essentially Jordan Peterson was hired, as you say, to effectively make it more friendly and consumable for public consumption and whatnot, but it was basically to sort of disguise what the real intentions behind it were.
Well, if you want to make a document palatable, find yourself a words a wordsmith that is also a compulsive liar and willing to say whatever he thinks needs to be said at any given time.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what Peterson is.
Yeah, and when you, it's like it was as I went out. Oh damn, he doesn't have the video anymore. I don't think. Damn it, unless it's on like Bitchute or whatever. Your man broken silence is saying I could join in, so it's up to you. But when I first seen that video, I mean, I already knew about the sustainable development stuff with that. But when I seen that he was involved in it, like he'd written like one of these documents to sort of spruced it up, as you say, to make it more palatable. I was like, it just took me aback. Because, wow, because when you really know what sustainable development is and what sustainability, etc., what it really entails and what it means, it's anybody that's got any involvement in it that they're traitors. It's treachery. It's malevolent. It's every sort of cynical word you can think of. You know, Jordan Peterson was just essentially brought in as an academic to sort of, as you say, make it more palatable. Like, but it was talking about like equity. Even back then, it was a very old document, wasn't it? It was like very old. But it was talking about like equity, the same crap that you see now all the time. But equity was the main sort of core principle of the document: sustainability and equity.
Whenever Peterson popped up, I was already quite heavily involved in the men's rights movement, and he went from nowhere to everywhere, and there was loads of clips being posted of him saying stuff, and I was listening to it and going, they all sound like very big words and very intelligent, but whenever you break it down, he's saying absolutely nothing. You know, another person that went from nowhere to everywhere, probably about 2 years before Peterson, was your woman Lauren Sullivan.
Oh, Miss Simonson.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just going back to Jordan Peterson. What was the name of that BBC reporter that he became famous for?
Oh, Channel 4, Kathy Newman.
That's the one. Yeah, Channel 4. I mean, I think that sort of made him famous in this country, don't you?
He was on my radar at least 2 years before that.
Okay. I mean, but that was a classic interview.
And he was over here as part of his World Book Tour whenever he done that interview, because although he likes to say that people tried to shut him down and stuff, he published a book and then he got to do a tour around the world where he spoke in front of hundreds of people and charged them £100 to have a meet and greet, shake his hand, and autograph a book.
Oh well, there we go. Yeah, another grifter.
Yeah,
and I think like it was definitely a guy, as I say, there's a guy called Resurrection Europa. His channel's still on YouTube, but he doesn't really upload anymore. But it was another video that he made of Jordan Peterson. Some of his videos are still here. I'm looking at his channel and now he's got Jordan Peterson as an antichrist false prophet. That's one of them. And he's got Jordan Peterson dismantled. But effectively, what it appeared from what was being hypothesized by him, and it made a lot of sense to me when he broke it all down, was Jordan Peterson was effectively put, or it appears anyway, if he's in the position that he's in or was for a long time, to sort of a lot of young white men that were sort of disgruntled with the way things were sort of drawn to him. And he would always make a point, he would always emphasize that like collectivism on racial lines was wrong. So he would sort of bring in or attract disgruntled young white men and then push them and promote the individualism, you know, this crap about tidying your room and whatnot. It all sounds very nice in principle, but the underlying tone was always that he was hell-bent on attempting to ensure that none of them sort of collectivized. That was, you know, he always showed a bit of disdain at that very idea. So he would say things along the lines of, if I remember rightly, that oh, look what's happened. You know, he would point to the Nazis. So you know, if I was and say, oh, look what's happened before. So he always made a conscious effort to try his damnedest to ensure that couldn't happen. And so your big problem with Peterson is he's a grifter. He's against white collectivism. Billy Blogs is asking. No, my biggest problem with Jordan Peterson is that he's involved with sustainable development. But I don't know what the other two's problem, if they've got any.
Did you see? Sorry, Fortune, carry on.
The Cider of Doom video seems to have disappeared.
The what one? Sorry.
Cider of Doom. Jordan Peterson and his Cider of Doom.
I don't know if I've seen that.
Right, hold on. Sorry, Rory, work away there. I'm going to have a look and see if I can actually find this.
Okay. No, I was just going to mention. Did you see Mark Collett's recent video on Lauren Southern, where he said that apparently she was charging $1,000 for a 15-minute call-in on her channel.
Yeah, every month.
Yeah, and Mark turned around and said, I wouldn't pay her $1,000 for a DJ.
Oh, was that on Ethan Ralph's thing?
I think it must have been. Yes, I think it was, but it was so funny.
He did roast her, like, and then he went on he roasted Milo Yiannopoulos as well, like, but yeah, he made a video a while ago on Lauren Southern, if I remember rightly, quite a while ago, Mark. I can't remember how long ago, but it was a long while ago, and I was not aware about this Patreon, for 15 minutes. I mean, I'm actually paying that for 15 minutes to talk to her. She's like, you have to be fucking desperate.
Right. I reckon we've got a classic bit of Jordan Peterson here. If this turns out to be not the right video, I'll need it. But if this seems to be it.
One of the things that both Michaela and I noticed was that when we restricted our diet and then ate something we weren't supposed to, the reaction to eating what we weren't supposed to was absolutely catastrophic.
What did you do? What did you switch to? Or what did you eat, rather?
Well, the worst response, I think we're allergic to, or whatever the hell this is, having an inflammatory response to something called sulfites. And we had some apple cider that had sulfites in it, and that was really not good. Like, I was done for a month. That was the first time I talked to Sam Harris.
You were done for a month?
Oh, yeah. It took me out for a month. It was awful.
Really?
Yeah. So I would say, look.
So
1 second. Broken silence. You need to connect your mic before you can come in. It's telling me that your mic's not connected.
This is right before this whole truth conversation with Sam Harris that got stuck in the mud. During.
So I think the day I talked to Sam was like the worst day of my life. Not because of talking to Sam, but it was
just physical.
Oh, Jesus, I was so dead. But I didn't want to not do it. Because
apple cider, like what was it doing?
Sulfites in it.
What was it doing to you?
Oh, it produced an overwhelming sense of impending doom. And I seriously mean overwhelming. Like, there's no way I could have lived like that if that would have lasted for... See, Michaela knew by that point that it would probably only last a month, and I was like...
A month?
Yeah,
from
a month.
Fucking cider?
Oh, I didn't sleep that month. I didn't sleep for 25 days. I didn't sleep at all. I didn't sleep at all for 25 days.
How is that possible?
I'll tell you how it's possible. You lay in bed, frozen in something approximating terror for 8 hours, and then you get up.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah. Not
and
good.
This is from fucking cider. From cider.
That's what we thought, yeah.
I don't even know what to say.
This is people. This is somebody that people are saying everybody should listen to, and he's got the answers for everything and how to live your life right. And that is pedigree fucking bullshit. There's not one where that's true.
I used to be an apple picker down in Somerset, and I was paid in cider as a teenager, and I loved it. I don't think it did me any harm.
I was quite renowned for the ciders myself back when I was a teenager at the park bench. Like, never did me any harm. Oh, Jesus, man. I really don't know what to make of that. Like, just...
I'll tell you what to make of it. He's not. He's landed on the internet. He's landed to. I forgot the name of the guy, Joe Rogan, and he's landed himself because he's actually got himself convinced that that's what happened.
Yeah. I can believe that. People pointed out in the chat as well that you die after a week of no sleep, and then maybe 5 days. But I mean, the fact that he was insistent, oh no, I'm sleep 5 days like that. What are you talking about? All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, but I don't know, but I just, it's definitely though, like, see, when you listen to when you look at him through the lens of what I was on about in regards to the like, he's there almost as if he's deliberately there to ensure he point disgruntled white men from going down the path of collectivizing and retaliating, whatever it may be, and instead pushing them in a different direction. That's when he just appears all the more sinister to me. Like, he might very well come across as if he can talk the talk and be intellectual and intelligent. Okay, in that case, he's not really when he's talking about that, right enough. But he just appears like a gatekeeper's not the right word, but a plant, even. You know, that's maybe the word.
Hold on, I need to speak to broken silence here. I can see you in the bit where I add you, but it's saying device is not connected. See, whenever you take yourself out, and whenever you're at the bit for coming in, there'll be, or actually, if you can see down at the bottom of your screen, like a cog with settings, click on that, and that should give you audio settings, and check what mic you have. It's asking to connect up because it's saying that you're not connected. If you can get that sorted out, it'll bring you straight in. Right. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, I was finished my point. Yeah. What is he? Is he actually backstage, and this is the case you pull him in, like?
Yes, but instead of the way you would come up and it says add you, he's got a wee warning triangle at the top, and it says device is not connected.
We might well, I mean, maybe to back out, and then before you rejoin, like, click the link, it'll come up with like show Cabra, show activate mic, or leave studio. That'll be your three options. So you just, block your camera. You don't want to show your mug, and then click your mic, make sure it's active, and then rejoin it. That's just there you go. Like, right, I'll be back in a second. I'm going to go and get another beer.
Right. Go get yourself a beer. Keep yourself hydrated because it's going to be hot.
At least no apple cider, like.
Yeah.
No, you need the good old scrumpy cider. That's what you want. That'll put you under the table after about 3 pints. I can tell you that.
We seem to have the professor himself has arrived. Who's Jordan? Speak to us.
Hey guys.
Good evening, gentlemen. I just wanted to let you guys know that the people on Hero Boot don't know anything about the things that I've been through in my life. People say to me, Jordan, you're just a grifter. It's not true. I've never been a grifter.
Yeah, well, you did actually put in your book. I'll give you one of your own quotes. I'm a compulsive liar, but sometimes I can normally ferret the lie out, and if I look and check, I can ferret the lie out but I am generally a compulsive liar. Maybe don't put that in your book, chum.
Well, what you need to understand is Freud always made these analogies consistent with everything that I always talk about. Oh. There you see, you obviously agree because I have you complete the taken out for words.
Yeah, I'm not bad. Tell me this: what's your current opinion on MGTOW? Because you have quite a strong opinion on men going their own way. What's your current opinion?
Well, if they want to be wankers, then they can be wankers. You know, that's the way these MGTOW guys go. You know, it's the only option available to them. Yeah.
Are you? So, what part of looking after yourself, not getting yourself involved with the state's business, is being a wanker?
Well, if it was only confined to that, that would be great. But all these guys are about other things.
What the fuck? Fucking.
I got you all, you bastards. It's me, you see. It's me. I'm back. I'm here again.
I thought of the Ayatollah with an impression that dynamite.
No. He's much better than me. I'm just a shite bag.
Yeah, I couldn't do like if you were to say to me, "Oh, do Phil Mitchell." He finds out that he's got Ebola or something. I couldn't do anything like that. But I'm really bad at impressions in general, like, so I could get
Broken. Broken. That's saying the exact same stuff, mate. I don't know what the problem is, but if you can find a sentence and manage to connect their stuff, there's nothing I can. The only option I have from this end is to take you out of the stream, which I'm not going to do. I'm going to let you figure about and see if you can solve this yourself. But if you can get yourself connected, then we'll bring you in.
I had exactly the same issue with Exiled Viking. Whatever device he was using, it just literally would not connect. So
he's had issues with me before as well, funnily enough. Exiled Viking, like.
Yeah.
Anyway,
good evening, and it's a pleasure to meet yourself, Rory. I don't think we've spoken in person before, but thank you for joining the streams and thank you for all of your input. I hope you don't mind my little jape at your your expense about Maggie Thatcher sleeping in your bed.
Well, no, that's absolutely fine.
But it is true, though, isn't it? It is true. It is a true story.
She did indeed sleep in my bedroom. Yes, I was not there at the time. I have to emphasize that one. But did you hear? Did you hear the other one? I told 42 about my grandfather, Dr. Willie.
Dr. Willie.
Ah, you didn't.
No.
42 had me on a stream regarding the first day of the song, and my father was wounded on the first day, rescued by a medical officer, and he later became a doctor. And this was my maternal grandfather, and his surname was Willie, so he became Dr. Willie. And no, Sensum, he did not become a gynecologist.
It would have been fitting, though.
Well, possibly, but there we go. No, he was an anesthesiologist. Yeah, there we go.
Nice.
Well, back in them days, it was just ether, wasn't it? Do you remember that stuff? It was awful. Ether. Well, I don't remember ether myself, but I remember tales from grandparents and whatnot waffling on about ether and how rancid it was. But I tell you what, it was that or nothing, wasn't it?
Oh, I certainly remember having gas and air in the dentist as a child.
Isn't gas and air still the same stuff like, you know, the old nitrous oxide that they give to pregnant ladies as a sort of a pain suppressant, like a mild pain suppressant? Isn't that the same stuff?
Ooh, good question. I'm not
laughing
sure.
Laughing gas, basically.
Yes, yes, absolutely, laughing gas. Yeah.
Yeah.
Billy Blogs' comment. He's one for the questions, isn't he? He does that with a guy I watched called Nightwave and Revenge of the System.
I tell you what, Billy Boggs has got more bloody questions than Magnus Magnuson.
But he said, what was it? Wait, where did he go? He said, How is MGTOW good for maintaining the white birth rate?
It's not.
No,
It's not. But having said that, do you know what it's really good for? It's really good for young men not ending up with 18 years baby jail, family courts, and all of that shit.
No, I would agree with that, but I will say as well there is a sort of splinter group from within that sort of sphere where they just seem to be very anti-women, and they're no better than feminists, to be honest.
We call them pig tie. PGTOW, pigs going their own way.
Well, fair enough. Never heard that before, but yeah. I think they do kind of sort of tarnish the main point behind what MGTOW is supposed to be.
Yep. They're within that whole manosphere runs from you've got men's rights advocates, and by the way, it's advocate, not activist, because you're advocating for changes in laws. You have the first wave MGTOW, or original MGTOW. Then you have pig tie, which is the pigs, and then you've got the pickup artists, and the first the original MGTOW men's rights don't get on with the pigs or the pickup artists, although they do generally get lumped on together as the same thing. Where MGTOW has a very good point. It's good for young men to find some personal values and then go out into the dating pool. And you'll find that the majority of MGTOW people end up in long-term relationships where the pigs don't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because those types of people then they end up getting called like incels and shit like that. You know what I mean? That in and of itself is a derogatory term, but I can't. I don't have to be honest. I don't really like those individuals that sit and shit on women all day. Don't get me wrong. Like, I've had my own issues, as we know, and I won't go into detail on Steam and whatnot. Like, but I mean, I wouldn't. It's just I've seen some of these people's videos on Bitchute. There's just shit on women. I'm like, right, it's okay, man, I get your point, but like you might have had a bad experience or whatever, but like not every woman's an asshole. I just don't. I think these people are no better than feminists, to be honest.
Oh, totally agree. The amount of people that have been if you go on to the Voice for Men website, I'm not sure if they still have it, but they have a whole fucking list of people that I can't remember exactly how they word it, but these people have got nothing to do with us and we do not like them. And it's a list of all those pigs.
That's good to at least they've got that, man.
You know, and the other thing, whenever I was involved with A Voice for Men, and even whenever I first started using it, was talking to people that normally they found that people would be about half of the people that came across their comment board would get ejected and banned after about 6 months.
Yeah. Can see why. To be fair.
They are constantly cleaning house and going, yeah, nothing to do with us, nothing to do with us, don't want you, fuck off, fuck off, fuck off. Unfortunately, assholes come in all genders.
Well, yes, without a doubt. Well, all genders, you mean both, come on.
Well, I identify as an attack helicopter.
Nah, well, you know, I'm all for non-binary empowerment, to be fair. Like, well, come on. Oh, Jesus. Basque, your man Basque, I don't even know. he says to his question, why in the fuck am I reading your chat? This is your job 42. He's saying, do you remember not just working out, but your parents getting whale liver oil as a nutrient? I have no idea what the hell that is, so I will let the boomers talk.
Yeah, I'll tell you now, right, on the old mainland there, so Holland, Germany, any coastal area, particularly like Denmark, any nation that was a big whaling nation, I would imagine it would be the same over here. So like the likes of Whitby and that. We ended up using cod liver oil. That's what we used to get. But for a long while, until whaling was fully outlawed in most countries, they used to give kids whale liver oil as a similar thing. Now, I don't personally remember anybody in my family having whale liver oil, although generations back, I've no doubt they might have done that. Just as it's supposed to be like, a conditioning substance for you to, it's supposed to make you feel better, do your joints, all that lot. Like cod liver oil's been around since, since Adam was a lad, basically, and like I say, the whaling countries use whale liver oil in a similar manner. But I do remember my own grandmother talking about tallow wax candles. Now, Rory may remember them, people talking about them, but they used to have, because whale tallow, it used to be used for oil lamps, it used to be used for candles. One of the big uses for it, right up until whaling was abandoned, was to rub the tallow wax or the tallow oil or gunk or wherever it would be on the sled, for the shipyards, for the boats to slide down. Because if a boat has been dry docked for a long time, or if it's a brand new boat, and you rig that stuff with what would effectively be mineral oil, so normal oil, what we know now, so the sort of bitumen type oil, crude oil, that kind of thing, the slipway, it would work if you did it there and then. But over time, if it was left any length of time, or if there'd been a particular bad night, rain or wind or stormy weather, it would wear off. Whereas tallow grease, as it was called, even in a storm, it would actually retain its consistency. So, that was one of the main uses for tallow. And people used to say, like, this oil stuff, unless you put loads of fresh on, like literally just before you're about to do it, it never keeps its function. But tallow, because obviously it come from a sea mammal that meant to repel water, whale tallow was a fantastic slip lubricant for the shipwrights to get the boats in and out of the water. In fact, going off on a little bit of a tangent, but the old WD-40, so water
displacement,
40, that's fish oil. That's so water displacement derivative 40 it's derived from fish oil. So there you go.
Well, I certainly remember being given cod liver oil, by my mother. I think it had something to do with constipation, as far as I recall. But no, Satsum, I'm afraid I don't remember the tad liver oil. But an interesting story you have there.
No, it was whale liver oil, which was used predominantly by the whaling nation. So Norway, lots of so Norway, Denmark, the Scandinavian countries that continued to do whaling up until it was banned worldwide, if you like. It was the equivalent of cod liver oil. So that was
right.
That was really good thing. And do you know something as well?
But did it cure constipation? That's the big question.
Well, everybody used to talk about cod liver oil as keeping you regular, the same as syrup of figs and these other natural remedies. But actually, the cod liver oil was was like a multi. They had lots of medically, you know, even to this day, lots of medically positive compounds in that oil. You know, it's in a high in what's called omega-3, which is one of the molecules which is supposed to be good for combating things like dementia and Alzheimer's. You know, in other words, the brain function. But it's also very good for joint care in general. The only problem is it tastes like shit. It really is disgusting tasting. Or when you get the tablets now, even them are a bit rammy, if you know what I mean. But
no, I certainly remember it being pretty horrible to swallow. Let's say that.
Yeah. It wasn't. Yeah, I've actually had cod liver oil spoon form for whatever reason. God knows, maybe they were torturing me. But yeah, no, it holds many, lots of fish oils. In fairness, oily fish like mackerel, sardines, pilchards, very, very good for you health wise. Not that I'm the doyen of health or anywhere near, you know. But what I will say is there are provable compounds in oily fish which are very beneficial to our well-being.
Indeed, yeah. Yeah, I don't mind that. Yeah, the occasional sardine goes down quite well, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
How about you, 42?
I had none of those oils. If it didn't come from a potato, it wasn't arriving in our house. With no oils or anything like that. A diet of potatoes, stews, and soups was about the height of it.
Well, what on earth did your family do during the potato famine?
Well,
they had takeouts, mate.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. That whole potato famine. This is where I need to be careful because I could say something.
Yeah, I've touched on the subject now, haven't I?
Yeah, no, I could start singing songs and everything. Very interesting thing about that potato famine, while everybody was starving. The chapel managed to build 13 churches, and I'm curious as to how bad things were if they were still engaged and they were still thinking, I'll tell you what, lads, we're going to build a church and everybody around here give me 1 day's labour for free till we get this thing built. There is other things about it. Ireland was not the only place to have a famine. In those days, in fact, food shortages were quite common right across Europe. The Irish were the only people that managed to fucking blame it on everybody else apart from themselves and their failure to diversify. The people who are complaining about the famine now say that no Catholic was allowed to live within 5 miles of a river or the coast. And I'm thinking, so they took everybody out of Dublin, did they? And all those fishing villages right round the coast. There's a lot of bullshit about that event, and I'm not saying it wasn't bad. I'm not saying that everything was all rosy, but there's a lot of that isn't true. A lot of people moved at that time for economic growth because there was better jobs in other places, and it's overblown would be my sort of take on that.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's always, you know, the question, you know, people who don't understand come up with. It's like, well, hold on a minute. Ireland was an island, so if there was a potato blight, then, you know, why don't you just go and fish? around the coast and the rivers. But as you clearly and rightfully say, it wasn't like that because the English owned the land, and you weren't allowed to move. You had to stay on your local farm.
No, well, they could have walked off their local farm. There was nothing stopping that.
Yeah, but to do what? Well, to survive, I suppose.
I think doing anything is a better move than staying somewhere where there's no food. There has to have been other work going on. Like there was something like 13 chapels built. You know, had they planted some crops and I don't know, kept some animals, chickens, eggs, all that sort of stuff, instead of putting everything into a harvest, which involved you working for 3 weeks a year. I think it might have come out a bit better.
Well, I think the problem was probably, I mean, hear me out here, because Ireland did not have BAMEs. We all know BAMEs are cultivating experts. They know how to farm properly. They know how to adapt, and they're very, very, very efficient workers. And it's the lack of Kenyan representation in Ireland at the time that is responsible for all of the problems you're speaking about. That's just my hypothesis, but correct me if I'm wrong.
I think you're onto something.
You never know. I don't know.
I mean,
there was as well, though. I mean, it doesn't get talked about as much, but it was there. I don't think it went on for as long, but there was the same problem in Scotland, well, the Highlands anyway, for the time. Back in those days, where the Highlands had there was a famine as well, but that seems to just be forgotten to the history books. Like, so maybe we should be getting some of the stick that you get.
Yeah.
Well, I do suppose if you can build a mud hut, then you know how to cultivate the land.
Yeah.
Well, a big problem in Ireland was they cut down all the trees for wood. They cut down the forests, and that destabilized their soil. And then whenever they finished burning all the trees, they got involved in burning all the peat and didn't leave themselves a lot of options with regards to livestock and whatnot. And if they had Kenyans in there organizing them, they wouldn't have done that.
Exactly. I mean, they're very efficient workers, are the Kenyans, Yeah. And Billy Blogs again saying that there was blacks in these islands before the Irish, Scottish, English, and Welsh. Absolutely, yeah, there was. I mean, we all know this to be the case. I mean, in fact, a little known secret about Scotland, for example, everybody talks about Robert the Bruce and how he was actually a Norman knight, but what you didn't know was that William Wallace was from Pakistan. Well, it wasn't Pakistan at the time, but what now known as Pakistan. He was actually Pakistani. And his lineage goes back many, many moons. The Picts, they were jet black. They were from Somalia. It's interesting how we've become so white as time has gone on. But yeah, I think about some more Kenyan farmers, and clearly there was a bit of a genetic disposition to arson by the sounds of it. What you're talking about, cutting down, burning trees, burning peat. Don't know what was going on there. Like, don't know if I trust you around my fireplace, but. Oh, fucking Jesus. But you do, it's funny when they say, just on a separate note, just to lighten it a bit, like when they go on and on and on about, like, the blacks have always been here. They always go back to Cheddar Man and that, but I just tried to picture it, the Highland clans and whatnot. Oh, just jet black Highland clans. The Blackabite Revolution and whatnot. I mean, it's funny. Some of them genuinely believe this stuff. I mean, you could feel sorry for them in many respects because, like, they've just got no history. But on the same token, it's like, how can you really believe what you're saying? To be them, I wonder.
Resisting the lies. I have to tell you this little story. a good friend of mine is actually named William Wallace, and
what a name.
yeah, and he is a Conservative councillor for Somerset. And I remember campaigning with him, and I had this pickup truck, and I built this A-frame on it, and I had this megaphone on top. And I would drive round Somerset and go, vote William Wallace. And I thought, well, there's no way we're ever going to get him elected with a name like that, you know? But sure enough, we did, and he won.
My God.
And this was many years ago. Right? He's been a councillor ever since. So there's a little bit about my political history.
Absolutely, yeah. No, there must have been some people that thought that was just a troll.
No, absolutely. I remember driving down a country lane, and there was a woman hanging out her washing, you know, on her washing line, and I go, vote Conservative, vote William Wallace. Your washing dries faster with the Conservatives.
William Wallace, the Unionist. Oh man, it sounds plausible.
There we go. I thought that might be quite amusing.
Just a very quick one, Rory. There was a comment made in the chat earlier on, and it said, "Were you not confusing cod liver oil for castor oil?"
No, it was definitely cod liver oil. Yeah, but yeah, I remember castor oil as well. But yeah, it was cod liver oil. Yeah, as far as I recall.
Do you remember, this used to be mint if you were ever bad, have a bad chest or a bit of a sniffle, right? And you used to rub it on your chest.
Oh, that would go on your chest. Yes, absolutely.
Camphorated oil. Do you remember that one? That was camphorated oil. That was great stuff. Sort you out, no problem. They banned it. EU banned it. Absolute charlatans. Camphorated oil. No, that's the God's honest truth. Camphorated oil was one of the few things, like I say, you were a kid, you know, you got a bit of a sniffle or whatever, you know, get the old chest and back thickened with camphorated oil. I mean, you used to go to school stinking like a pharmacist, but it didn't matter because it used to sort you out. And another thing you used to get, if you had a bit of the gripe, or if you had bad guts, as we used to call it, used to give you something called kaolin and morphine. Can't have that now anymore either. You know, stuff that actually used to bloody work. You can't get it anymore, all because of the interfering EU wazzicks. Unbelievable.
Hey,
Robert the Bruce. Broken Silence has a spider problem. He's wanting Robert the Bruce to sort them out for him. Robert the Bruce can come here and deal with the big bastard house spiders. We know he won't, so he can fucking do one.
You didn't do that for me at all. Yeah, I mean, Robert the Bruce. Don't get Scott's Arbor started. Robert the Bruce. It's quite fun. It's quite entertaining. Like, doesn't like Robert the Bruce. Same way he doesn't like Neil Oliver. Yeah. But I take it your bad Broken Silence is no joining then, no?
No, he's not having any joy. Here, Broken, drop me an email tomorrow or something, and I'll try and get in touch with you. We'll try and get it sorted out so that the next time you can come on, we'll figure it out, whatever is at the bottom of it. But it seems that every time he's trying to come on, it's just, for whatever reason, it's not picking up his mic or anything.
Strange. Boomer Tech, I'm telling you. That's all I'll say. Boomer Tech. But,
yeah.
Fuck it, man. What else have we got in the chat, man? Okay. No questions. This is a Q&A session. Where are the questions? Like, come on. Nobody want to know how chiseled my jaw is, or how big my feet are, or something like that. No.
My grandma lost 70% of her sense of smell by incident with copper oil. Complete mishap. Strong stuff. That sounds a bit awful.
Yeah, my granddad lost his sense of smell as well completely. He got to eat a wasp went up his nose when he was about 17 or 18 or something, and he got stung. But it wasn't the sting that effectively stop the sense of smell. He went to the hospital or whatever at the time, and whatever they did to his nose after that, he's never able to smell again. You know, so I mean, even getting stung on your nose up there doesn't sound too pleasant. But to think that you went to the hospital to sort out and they fucked your sense of smell up, so from that day on, he was a mouth breather. You know, so he used to come there with everything going. Absolutely any bug going, he would catch it. Like, so fuck that, being a mouth breather. But,
not good.
My feet. I'm a size 5.
And yet, the young people of today complain that they're losing their sense of smell because of COVID.
Oh yeah. Don't even get me started now. It drives me mental. Like, there's a guy I was working with last week who had to stop. He couldn't come to work because he came down with the symptoms of quote unquote COVID, and he texted me. And he was like, "Oh, can you tell the boss I'm not coming in the day I think I've got COVID, gonna have to go get a test." And I was like, "Oh, come on, the fact, like we've already had this discussion. I thought you didn't believe in it." He's like, "Oh, I know, but I've lost my sense of smell. My taste is all funny." I mean, come on, like that's like the same as anything.
I reckon you need to prove that theory. So, what you need to do is say what up, drop your guts with the old beefy ego. The sharp smell that I tell you, we go, "Oh Christ, who the fuck's dropped that one?" And then you immediately say, "Right, you're not off tomorrow, then are you, sunshine? Unlucky."
Oh, well, we've got a question. Rory, are you up for giving out your age?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I am. Let me think. 70 years.
60.
Indeed.
A couple of years older than me.
Jesus Christ, man! I'm still in my 20s. Like,
shut you villain!
Oh no, don't get me wrong. Like, I should be out in the town right now looking for, Mrs. Wright, but instead I'm fucking been on 3 streams on the bounce like Saturday night. So,
Listen, you're here to listen to Sense and Peterson's 12 steps. 12 steps to making me rich. That's what you.
How much
that was the name of his book, wasn't it? 12 Steps to Making Jordan Peterson Rich, or whatever it was called.
Well, yes, it was a fantastic book, and I learned a lot. I learned how to clean my room. That chapter about what air freshener to use and things of that nature. I found it very compelling. It was just really, it was a life-changing experience to read his book, and I really recommend it to anybody. Strontian Dog said to me, finally I get a question on this Q&A session. How much do I smoke every day? Well, it really just depends, because I smoke rollies. It depends if I'm drinking, which isn't very often after I crashed my car. Not that I was drunk when I did so, but I had to kind of get my act together after that and pull my bootstraps up. So I tried to change my sort of life around, so I don't drink very much at all. Keep my money so I can pay for my car insurance, as it was a punishment and stuff like that. But anyway, if I do have a couple of beers in, I tend to smoke a lot more, but I couldn't put a number on it definitively. So there you go.
I'm just putting that up. Broken Silence is saying there's so many good people on here. No, there is. There's really. I'm. Well, first of all, I'm staggered at people coming to listen to my streams. That never ceases to amaze me that you just turn up and stay for so long, but also that they're all nice people. It is very humbling that.
All we need.
Time goes on. Dickheads, I can assure you that.
All we need is a Welshman, 42.
We just need Joe Marsh on. That'd make it great, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah.
Parks marks. Do you know what's weird? I don't know if you've noticed this, but parks marks, right? I get this quite a lot now. People say that, like, he or she said, "Do you live somewhere else apart from your native accent? It feels like you were dropping it in our accent." Like, the amount of people that say to me now, like, like, have you been living in Edinburgh, etc., etc.? Because my accent apparently changes from Invernessian to like this weird accent, and I don't notice it myself. But no, I've lived in the land of the Chipter all my life. So I don't know. I don't know. Have any of you noticed my accent changing?
No.
No,
not noticed. Well, no, not myself. No, but having said that, like my accent's a mongrel anyway. So who's Parks Marks? Oh, that's quite posh, isn't it? Parks Marks. He'll be over the moon hearing it pronounced like that. He sells Parkers in Marks and Sparks.
Parks.
Well, yeah. On that topic, our Claire moved from I think Slough to Devon and picked up quite a bit of a Devon accent. Now she's moved to the Isle of Skye. I wonder whether she'll be picking up a Scottish accent. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how long you live there, I suppose. Like, well, I mean, like my missus, from a few years ago, she lived in Edinburgh, and I only went out with her for about 8 months. And then within that 8-month period, I was getting accusations thrown at me left, right, and centre from people like, "Oh, yeah, where are you living? Like, why's your accent changed?" And I genuinely have no idea why people say that. To me, I just sound exactly the same. But,
yes, just going back to our Claire for a moment. I remember she mentioned, when she went back to visit her family in Slough, they go, "Oh, you sound funny," with her Devon accent.
Is Skye quite a soft Scottish accent?
Skye, if you've ever heard Kenny Smith from PA Scotland talk, that's a sort of Skye accent. It sounds you could mistake it, because quite often that does happen. You can mistake it for Irish, to be honest. It sounds very,
Danny McGaskill is the person that I've heard from Skye speak. You know him with the mountain bikes?
Oh, aye. I know you're on about. Yeah. I haven't heard him speak, but if it's anything like Kenny Smith, then yeah, you'll know what I'm talking about. In regards to, you can think, some people think it sounds Irish. Sort of, I think it's more the twang than anything else. But
yeah, he would be a bit twangy. You would know it was Scottish, but it's not. It's sort of like a softly spoken Edinburgh.
Aye, no, I get what you mean. But I've always thought that when it comes to Inverness, the Inverness area, there's not really much of an accent. Like when you hear the likes of Scots Armour or Clive or Millennial Wars, etc., you know straight away that they're Scottish. But just for me personally, I genuinely think that if I didn't have a Scottish flag as my emblem, and I just made a random video, I would have find it pretty difficult to figure out where I was from. I don't think I sound Scottish, to be honest. And like everywhere that I've been in Scotland, they've got a strong twang, but in the islands they don't. The further north you go towards the islands, that starts to come back, and then you get, as we're talking about there, the like sort of Shetlandy twang and whatnot. But the sort of Inverness area, I don't really think there's an accent. But
no, there is phrases and terminology, but you know, you would know from your speech, you know, where you say, "I know something," which means not, but you know, there's words that you use that definitely don't sit anywhere else than Scottish in Scotland in that context.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, man. Even my own grandmother said that I don't sound Scottish. Like my own granny said that, man. I don't know what to make of that. But just when you're down in Glasgow, it's like, I write that, and whatnot. But when you're up in Inverness, like most of the people up here sound like junkies, to be honest. You know what I mean? But they're good to me. I love the Chictos, but well.
Right, people, we're now at just after 2:30 in the morning. I'm coming up in 3 hours. So
okay, mate.
I'm going to start to wind this down. So, is there anything you want to finish on, or whatever, or got a topic that's really boiling your piss you need to get out right now?
No, fine by me. 42. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, a good night's sleep would be in order.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I've fucking my sleep was all over the joint the last few nights, so I'm probably gonna be up for a bit longer. Like, but I'll find something to amuse myself. I won't keep you up if you want to fuck off. Like,
that's a technical term.
No, it's just you, you know what I mean? So I know you know what I mean. I'll find something.
That's a Scottish term, I believe. Yeah.
But
yeah.
Oh, you mean when I say fuck? Oh, wait. Well, the Scottish use words like fuck off. I don't mean it like in a bad word, derogatory, disparaging. It's the same as the CUNT word. That's used like the Australians just to say it so matter of factly. We kind of do the same. Yeah. But no, nothing really. Unless you want to talk about my favourite subject, which is Nicola Sturgeon.
Wee nippy.
So I don't really do that. So let's not.
Oh. No, mate. Yeah, close it down. Yeah, it'd be great stuff. Like Sal Strontium's come in to me, and he says he's got a lot of respect for Professor, or is it Doctor? I can't remember. Professor Peterson.
Yeah, I seen that. Each to their own. I just don't like the guy. I think he's a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Absolutely.
But
and if you're involved in any capacity when it comes to sustainable developments, then no, you can fuck off. You're like Jordan Peterson is involved in sustainable development, so he can fuck off. Just to finish off, I'm doing 42's job for him because I'm talented as fuck. He said, having worked, Strontium Dog said, having worked in mental health for 25 plus years, specifically young people's mental health, the impact of his work cannot be underestimated, meaning Jordan Peterson. I'm not disputing that his work might have had an impact, but my point that I made earlier, I don't know if you missed it or not, was that it's pretty self-evident that he's been placed in the position that he's in to ensure or guide dismayed, disgruntled young white men who, in abundance, are struggling with the way things are in society. He puts them off collectivism and points them in the direction of cleaning the room and, pulling themselves up with the bootstraps. Fundamentally opposes collectivism, and that's going to be a detriment.
The other thing is, he is very fond of saying, you do everything right, straighten your shoulders and fly right, and everything will be fine. But he is sending these young men out in the world with a false belief of safety, and them straightening themselves out and flying right isn't going to help them, because they also need to have their wits about them.
Aye. No, I would agree with that. But I will say no more because I ramble.
Yep. But I'm not strongly. I'm also aware that he has given a lot of young men hope, and maybe his sticking plaster will help them until they get to a better stage where they can develop personal standards and move forward with their life.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I mean, at the end of the day, like I'm a big supporter of people that go out of their way to help. People with mental health. I mean, obviously there was a story that took place in Inverness this week, for example, and I still don't know the ins and outs of it, but it's suspected anyway that somebody jumped off the bridge in our city again. It was only a few years ago that it happened. Suicide in the Highlands in Scotland it's ridiculous how many young men in particular, but this is a suspected female this time. No body's been found. People commit suicide. So, I've got a lot of respect for people or organisations and whatnot that go out of their way to help in that capacity. But I just think that even if he puts men in the direction of sorting their life out and feeling better about themselves, that's all well and good. But he's there, in my opinion anyway, to effectively ensure that the response that these men have to the way society is and is headed, he's there to ensure that they do not end up, which they would inevitably have, well, you would like to think, head towards collectivization. He does not want that. He opposes that, and he says that. In fact, he uses a Nazi analogy, but point being the same. So I think that's going to be a detriment, because you can have a flash car, you can have a nice house and a nice job and whatnot, but at the end of the day, it's still pushing individualism, which has got us in this mess in the first place.
He's pushing men. Where he's pushing men to is the provide and protect plantation. And his idea for young men is to get themselves wifed up and look after a wife and take on a burden. But he's not telling them to have a good look and check for red flags and make sure that they're getting into a good relationship. And he says that if men have problems with the woman, then it's the man's fault, but that's not necessarily true.
Yeah. And to say as well, I mean, I know I can do this all day, man, until I fucking get tired. And I'll also, the last thing I'll say, and I'll mute, and I'll let you finish up. Vincent Griffin said, but he is still on this side more than the other. As I said, I will just refer you back to my point, but I'll try and refrain from using profanity this time around. I'll be more candid and frank, as Scott Sarmer would say. He's involved in sustainable developments. He helped the United Nations publish the Sustainable Development Paper. So he is, as far as I'm concerned, a traitor. No more from me tonight. I'll leave you at
that. Right. Yes, I'm going to get some music on and wrap us up.
Just finally, 42, I'd like to thank you so much for having me on, and wish all the chat a very good night and good weekend. That's what's left of it. And thanks for staying with us.
Yep. Yes. Roy, thank you very much for coming on. You've been a great guest as usual. And yes, thanks to the chat for staying with us. And they've been great. Sansom.
Hi, I'm Neil Oliver, historian, archaeologist, and all-round great hair. And I'd just like to say good night to everyone.
Or as Ragnar said in the end of that stream that he did the other week, where he was talking about, sorry Ragnar if you're listening, but I just found it brilliant when he said to Sansom regarding that woman Irish Rose, when he's and Joe Marsh, etc. Sansom, you know Irish Rose? Joe knows her. All right, man. I'm sorry. No, I'll leave it at that. Oh, Jesus. Inside joke, kind of, I guess. Anyway, 99, I guess.
Right. Resisting Lays, Sansom, thanks both of you very much for coming on. Great crack as always. I'm going to stick some music on to play us out. If you want to stay on in the chat to say proper goodbyes, that's fine. But if you want to get off the bed, whatever you want, people. Thanks very much. Thanks to chat. And we're going to get some music on. Oh, hold on. Well, it would probably help if I'd had this all properly lined up. Here we go. Share screen.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay. Do you understand that? Turn the friggin' frogs gay. Serious crap. Gay. Frogs, friggin' frogs. It's not funny. I'm gonna say it real slow for you. Gay. Frogs. Won't you fight for your life? Gay. Frogs, friggin' frogs. I don't like a frog. freaking frogs. Frogs. Freaking frog crap. Won't you fight the frogs? It's not funny. I'm going to say it real slow for you. Frogs. Place point.
Right, that's it, people. End the broadcast. Thanks, everybody, and have a good night.